Hello and welcome to this ASPERCAN-informed training session provided by Valis Bioscience. This module presents a brief overview of head circumference measurement. We will first review the method for measuring head circumference outlined by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, and then provide specific guidance on how you can instruct the caregiver to perform these measurements during the remote video visit. Abnormal head circumference growth trajectories have been reported in children with Canavan disease. The head circumference measurement refers to the measurement of the occipital frontal perimeter of the head. This is the largest area of the child's head, which is above the eyebrows and ears and around the back of the head. Head circumference is related to individual differences in neuroanatomy, and is a widely used proxy for neural growth and brain size in pediatric and research settings. Head circumference measurements are often considered difficult, even for clinicians, due to individual differences in head shape, hairstyle and texture, the child's cooperation, and differences in tape measure placement and tautness. Before we provide instructions on how to guide the caregiver to perform the head circumference measurement on their child, we will review the CDC guidelines for clinicians performing the head circumference measurement. As recommended by the CDC, a measuring tape that cannot be stretched will be used, and the measurement will be taken 3 times. The largest of these 3 measurements is considered the child's head circumference. Let us now have a look at the CDC video with instructions for clinicians.
Measuring head circumference isn't always as simple as it sounds. Let's review important considerations and methods now. First, start with a measuring tape that cannot be stretched. Next, securely wrap the tape around the widest possible circumference of the head. That's usually 1 to 2 finger widths above the eyebrow on the forehead, and then across the most prominent part of the back of the head, as you can see here. We recommend that you reposition the tape and repeat the measurements 3 times. Record the largest measurement to the nearest 0.1 centimeters.
During the remote visit for the CAN-informed study, you will instruct the caregiver on how to measure their child's head circumference. A study by Sullivan and colleagues in 2014 assessed the reliability of self, caregiver, and clinician measurements of head circumference. The results showed high levels of reliability of head circumference measurements by caregivers and clinicians, and strong concordance between caregiver and clinician measurements. Therefore, the results of the study provide strong evidence for confidence in caregiver measurements of head circumference, and suggest that with proper instructions, a trained clinician may be able to guide the caregiver to perform these measurements. Before beginning to instruct the caregiver, ensure the child's head is visible on camera and the view is not obstructed. For this study, you will use the following instructions to guide the caregiver in conducting the head circumference measurement. Before we start looking at your child's motor behavior, we will measure their head circumference. Please locate the paper measuring tape provided to you by the ASPER study team. Once you have the measuring tape, place the child on the mat in a comfortable position. Wrap the measuring tape around the child's head from the middle of the forehead to the same point on the back of the head. Next, place your finger on the number on the measuring tape that corresponds to the child's head circumference measurement. Now, show me or tell me the measurement on the tape in inches or centimeters. Once the caregiver has provided you with the first measurement, record it on the head circumference CRF. Then, say to the caregiver. Repeat the same procedure again, and show me or tell me the measurement on the tape in inches or in centimeters. Once the caregiver has provided you with the second measurement, record it on the head circumference CRF. Then, say to the caregiver. Repeat the same procedure for a third time, and show me or tell me the measurement on the tape in inches or in centimeters. Once the caregiver has provided you with the third measurement, record it on the head circumference CRF. If the caregiver has difficulty identifying the middle part of the child's forehead, have them place 1 or 2 fingers above the child's eyebrow, as this is usually the widest part of the child's head. Additionally, make sure that you are carefully observing where the caregiver is positioning the measuring tape. Ensure that the caregiver is pulling the tape snugly to compress any hair. You may need to instruct the caregiver to undo hairstyles and remove hair accessories that may interfere with measurement. The following are some key points to keep in mind when guiding the caregiver to perform the head circumference measurements. It is important to prepare the testing environment by ensuring that there are no distractions and a clean mat and the non-stretch measuring tape are available prior to testing. It may be helpful to explain to the caregiver the rationale for why you are assessing head circumference. Carefully observe that the caregiver is performing the task according to the instructions, and use simple, non-medical language if additional instructions or feedback are required. Ensure that you follow all the guidelines for facilitating measurement by the caregiver, and that you provide demonstrations if needed. Importantly, ensure that the camera is positioned on the child's head such that you can clearly observe if the caregiver is measuring the largest circumference of the child's head. Thank you for participating in this brief training session on head circumference measurement, provided by Velis Bioscience. We hope that the information presented was clear and informative. Please feel free to reach out to us at aspercvn101@velisbioscience.com if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about the information in this module.